Episode 375, Freeze. When the dust finally settled around the smashed pieces of clock and brick, Tyson turned back to the party and pointed a finger at the rubble. Alex killed the top fighters of the Blood Brothers, and he has issued a challenge to me, Tyson said. Anyone who helps him will end up like that clock. Jessup glared at him, but he knew he was no match for Tyson, who was unpredictable when he was angry. Afraid for the members of his family, Jessup said nothing. The others were terrified, and several of them were visibly shaking. If not for Jessup, then they might have fled. Other than Jessup, only Debbie held her head high, like a proud princess, refusing to yield. "Are you crazy?" Rufus whispered to her, tugging at her sleeve. "Keep your head down." He was worried that her defiance would attract Tyson's attention. Jessup glanced at her, appreciating her bravery. Debbie was the leader of the Black Orchid cult, as well as a Clifton. She shouldn't be afraid of anyone. Everyone kept their eyes down, but they peeked at Debbie, worried about her. "This is Alex's enemy," someone muttered to her. "Debbie, you need to back down." Debbie ignored them all and gently pushed her uncle's hand away. She straightened her spine, looking straight at Tyson, refusing to cower in front of him. Tyson noticed, and he was very interested in Debbie's actions. He stepped forward, looking closely at her. "Debbie?" he asked. "Art told me that you're with Alex. Aren't you afraid of me?" "I am the leader of the Black Orchid cult," Debbie said, her voice firm. "Why should I be afraid of a gang leader?" "I've never heard of the Black Orchid cult," Tyson said, completely uninterested. "But if you're Alex's woman, then you're my enemy. And I can tell from your tone that you despise me. Still, if you vow to cut off all contact with Alex, then I might be able to forgive you." "Is that right?" Debbie asked, raising an eyebrow. "Well, I am Alex's woman, as you put it, and I will never betray him." "I should have known that whoever Alex chose would be steel wrapped in velvet," Tyson said. "Such a shame. You have more integrity than any of the men around here." He sighed, shaking his head. "What a pity." Rufus felt humiliated and wished the ground would open up and swallow him. Other members of the Clifton family were filled with shame, but no one dared to challenge Tyson. "Sadly, you will pay for that integrity," Tyson said. "I admire you, I really do. But Alex killed many members of my gang, and they must be avenged." His expression turned menacing. "Since Alex isn't here, then I guess you'll have to pay the price," he said. "Come here, Debbie." Debbie clenched her fists and didn't move. Tyson walked over to her, refusing to break eye contact. He raised his right hand, touching her shoulder and channeling his inner power. Debbie's face grew pale. How could she not be afraid of what was happening? But she wanted to make Alex proud, so she couldn't run away. She tipped up her chin and prepared for whatever Tyson was going to do. The power flowed into Debbie, sending ice shooting through her veins. Tyson's power was exceptionally cold, and she began to shiver. Even though she was wearing a warm sweater, she felt like she was being encased in ice, and she trembled violently. Her teeth chattered and she couldn't stop it, no matter how hard she tried. She felt like she was becoming a living ice sculpture. The people standing next to her shivered. Even just being near her was enough for them to feel cold. "Debbie!" Jessup called, tears shining in his eyes. He hated seeing his beloved granddaughter suffer, but he didn't know how to help her. "My inner power is extremely cold," Tyson said. "Cold enough to kill. This power will attack you once every 24 hours, and each attack will be stronger than the last. If Alex doesn't appear soon, then you'll not be able to withstand this. Eventually, you'll simply freeze to death." He sounded unemotional, as though he didn't care about Debbie's fate. But everyone else was shocked and frightened. They had never heard of such a thing, and they struggled to believe it. But the evidence was right there in front of them. Debbie's lips were turning blue, and her skin was ashen. How could Tyson have such power? They knew Tyson had told the truth, and they hated him for his cruelty. But not one of them spoke up, too afraid that he would kill them. Despite the numbness, Debbie was in pain, and her eyes sparkled with unshed tears. She blinked furiously, trying to hold them back. "I will not let Alex down by crying," she thought. "I will not cry, no matter what." "You have a strong will," Tyson said approvingly. "It's a shame that you chose to align yourself with Alex." He shook his head. "If you're thinking about seeking medical assistance, don't bother. You won't find any help there. I advise you to focus on getting Alex to come back." "You monster!" Jessup yelled in a hoarse voice. "How can you attack an innocent woman?" He felt like his heart was breaking. "And how do you expect Alex to know where to find you?" "I do whatever I need to," Tyson replied. "Tell Alex that I'll be waiting for him at the mouth of the Hudson River." With that, he strode away, not bothering to look back. The younger man who had accompanied Tyson looked contemptuously at everyone, and then he turned and left. As soon as Tyson had gone, Jessup collapsed, and Rufus rushed to help him. "You have to be strong," he said. Jessup sighed. "Go and find Alex," he said. "Tell him to come back." Debbie stood there, her face as white as snow. She couldn't even speak.